Hi everyone, greetings. Thanks for joining our August webinar session where we'll be getting you clued up on the best way to manage multiple LinkedIn accounts for yourself or your clients. I'm Jo Henderson, a member of the marketing team, and I'm joined today by our head of sales, the one and only Scott Wright. Scott, hi.
Hello, good
Thanks
morning or afternoon.
At this very godly hour for yourself. And thanks for standing in for Giles while he's stuck on his flight. For all of us who haven't, or for all of you, in fact, who haven't been on one of these sessions before, you'll notice there are multiple windows open on your screen, all of which you can minimize or remove simply by clicking on the corresponding icon on the green bar on your screen. If you're on a tablet or your mobile, you'll find it easier to turn it to landscape, and then you'll see more of our faces and more of the slides. I'll be monitoring your questions today, and we'll also have a Q&A with Scott at the end of the session. And the whole session is being recorded. You will be sent an email to let you know when the on-demand version is available and ready to view, and that should pop into your inboxes either later today or tomorrow, depending on which time zone you're in. Before I hand over to Scott, I just want to give you a heads up on our next webinar. Let's pop the slide up on the screen for you all, which is on the 23rd of September. We'll be joined then by long-term Dux user Ben Pace. Ben's the president of multi-million-dollar agency Client Matchmaking and credits Dux-Soup for much of his success. He'll be here with us to share his exact outreach strategy, and he'll be covering his formula for converting second and third degree prospects. He'll be talking about the sales copy that he uses to trigger immediate responses from his target clients. He'll be talking us through his proven campaign workflows for predictable pipeline growth, and also how he maximizes leads by varying his campaign strategy, which also includes in-mail as well as email. There's a pop-up on your screen, so you can secure your spot for that event right now, and then you can ignore it for the next few weeks. But right now, I am going to hand over to Scott. Thanks, Scott.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jo. And by the way, for anybody that's on this call, that webinar with Ben Pace is going to be quite exciting. I know Ben very well personally, and his company and what they're doing with our tool is pretty amazing, and definitely seeing some amazing results. It gets me almost excited and sometimes wishing I had my own agency back in the day again. But anyway, so join that if you can. So that said, on today's subject, managing multiple LinkedIn accounts and using Dux-Soup to help get the most out of LinkedIn. And as Jo said, this will be recorded. And we'll go ahead and share that out if you need any requirements, or if you need the copy of the recording or any of that type of stuff. So jumping onto this today, a couple of things is we'll do some house cleaning or housekeeping. I should say that is the best way to sort of say that. I'll cover what is Dux-Soup for those who are new on this call, right? Very, very quickly. Obviously, a lot of us will be already familiar with that, especially if we're looking into managing multiple of the different accounts. But then I'll also go into a little bit on why you would want to manage multiple different accounts, what it sort of looks like, and how do you do that, and then go through a little bit of a Q&A. Today will also be a little bit of slides, and I'll also share my screen for a portion of this. I will also take this also in sort of sections, as there's different ways to sort of manage Dux-Soup accounts depending on which plan you are utilizing as well. So let's jump into it. So and I'm just gonna pause here for 1 second. If I could just get a confirmation, Jo, everybody can see me moving the slides. Is that correct? Just wanted to do a quick check. Yes. Jo?
Yes. Okay,
yes. Perfect. All right, thank you. Just making sure. Sorry, I didn't mean to. It's a good check on there. All right, wonderful. So what is Dux-Soup? Dux-Soup is a Google Chrome extension. It's also compatible with other browsers like Brave, Edge, and a few others that you can go ahead and download to automate your outreach on LinkedIn, right? We've been around for 10 years, been doing this. one of the most highly trusted and safe ways to be automating your outreach on LinkedIn, while also going ahead and scraping data as well on LinkedIn. So any type of search or list or whatever you can sort of pull up and be presented with on LinkedIn, you can go ahead and export that data and put it into a CSV or something of that nature. But effectively, you can go onto LinkedIn and create a LinkedIn list, if you will, of prospects. A list could be a search on LinkedIn. If you're searching for CEOs in San Francisco or Timbuktu, right? As long as you can pull that list up, if you will, or search on LinkedIn, then you can go ahead and extract it, or you can go ahead and use Dux-Soup to automate the outreach activity. And the outreach activity could be something as simple as just sending out an invitation, or sending out an invite followed by a follow-up message or something like that. Think like an email drip sequence campaign type of logic, if you will. And so it's a free extension that you can download off the Google Chrome Web Store, and you get a free trial automatically as soon as you download the extension as well, which is always a fun little taste tester as well if you ever need to. Multiple account scenarios. So fundamentally, when you download Dux-Soup, it's attached to your browser. And since it's attached to your browser, Dux-Soup doesn't actually ask for your username and password to LinkedIn. You sign in with Google, actually. We never ask for your LinkedIn username or password when using Dux-Soup. And so when people ask, hey, is it possible to go ahead and manage multiple different users then with Dux-Soup? It's just sort of a little bit of a dependent on how do you want to manage the setup. Are you an individual who wants to manage your colleague's profile? Do you want to manage your CEO's profile? Do you want to manage your team's profile? Are you an agency like Ben Pace, if you will, right? Whose entire business model is designed on managing other people's profiles? All of these are possible, and in different formats and ways, depending on how it is you want to sort of structure and set yourself up. Because we don't ask for your LinkedIn username or password, there's nothing on Dux-Soup's side that's sort of logging in on your behalf to take any of these actions. So because it's all done through the browser based, how you set that up is really going to be important on a lot of these. And so when you want to manage multiple different account scenarios, we do have 3 different versions: Dux-Soup Pro, Dux-Soup Turbo, and Dux-Soup Cloud. And with these different scenarios, there's sort of different ways you want to set them up, right? So starting off with Dux-Soup Pro, if you were to use our Dux-Soup Pro version of our tool, what you'd need to do is go ahead and create a Google Chrome account, right? Then download Dux-Soup to that Google Chrome account. And you'll be able to visualize this here in a second, so I'll walk through that. And remember that you can create a team or an agency account with the required number of seats if you have consolidated billing as well, which you'll be able to visualize that as well here in just a moment. But on Dux-Soup Pro, you would download the Google Chrome extension, and then when it's downloaded to there, you would need to log into the Dux-Soup account, which would require you to have basically a Gmail or a Google Chrome account, and you'd have multiple different ones as well. For Turbo, you're looking at the same sort of setup. It's exactly the same as Pro in terms of how that's sort of structured. Because it requires your local browser access, you would go ahead and create a Google Chrome account, then download Dux-Soup to that Google Chrome browser and log into it from there. It's important to note that I feel like I can't stress this enough, you're not utilizing your LinkedIn username or password on these, because the LinkedIn username or password is sort of tied to the browser overall, and is sort of leveraging the cached browser from that experience, right? Now, this does change a little bit for the Dux-Soup Cloud version, which I'll talk about here in just a moment. But I want to make sure that that's very clear, at least for the Pro and for the Turbo. And so what you essentially need to do is create a browser or a Google Chrome for all of those scenarios. And so I will demonstrate how to do that here in just a second. Now, when creating these Google Chrome accounts, you can create as many Google Chrome accounts as you want by following the managing multiple LinkedIn accounts process in the related content section of the platform. So here on your screen for RN24, there should be an area there should be a link in there, if I'm not mistaken, that will say, hey, it's an article that says how to manage multiple LinkedIn accounts. You can go ahead and follow those steps. We'll be outlining those steps basically right here in just a second. But let me just walk you through it right now, how to do so. I'll walk you through how to do it kind of verbally through slides, and then I'll also demonstrate it as well when I share my screen. And Joe, I'm going to do a quick test here. I'm going to be sharing my screen here in just a moment. I just wanted to confirm that we can all see my screen. Can we see my screen?
Not yet.
Yes.
Just give us a second. Yes, I can.
Okay, fantastic. And we can still also see the slide deck as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, fantastic. So I'll be going through these one at a time here in terms of how to do this. So to create a new Google Chrome, and this will be for Dux-Soup Pro and for Dux-Soup Turbo mainly. So step one, sorry, I'm pulling up both of them at the same time. Creating Chrome accounts, step one. To create a new Google account, you'll want to create a Chrome browser for each one of the LinkedIn accounts that you're managing. And you can create one by navigating to the URL, which is accounts.google.com/signup. And so when you come to here, you'll go ahead and type in the first name of the account that you're going to be going ahead and managing. Let's imagine that we're doing Joe Henderson, right? So we'll type in Joe and we'll type in Henderson, right? Maybe I'll put the word Dux in here because that's the account that we're going to go ahead and manage in these sort of cases. Then it'll ask for a birthday. You can just go ahead and put in a birthday of any type. I have tried putting in birthdays before of like 1780 or something like that, and Google does catch that in a lot of these sort of cases. So you do have to put one that is relatively of newer standards and standpoints. Now, when you go to that point, you'll get to a portion here where it will ask you to choose a Gmail address. So you can go ahead and choose a Gmail. Now, remember, this Gmail you're creating or this Google account that we're creating right now is really only designed to be housing the Dux-Soup extension in a lot of these sort of cases, right? And so think of it as like your Dux-Soup username and password as another way to sort of look at this. So you can choose one of the ones that are provided. You can go ahead and create your own, or you can also use your existing email. So if you use this here, this is where you can type in like an email address, maybe Joe Henderson rocks@yahoo.com, right? So if you have a Yahoo email, you can go ahead and utilize that email here, or even hotmail.com, that would also work. Also, you can utilize any of your personal Gmails as well, one that you have already set up and structured, right? And then, so we'll go ahead and click on this here, and then it will ask you for a password. So you can just choose a password of your own doing and create the password here. And did those passwords not match? Whoops. And so you can go ahead and create the password, and then it will go ahead and ask you for a recovery email address. And so for this recovery email address, I'll do Yahoo, or we'll do, I'll do skip for the time being. And so now this Gmail has now been created, right? Now that this Gmail has been created, what we're going to do, and we'll go ahead and hit agree, confirm. And so now this Gmail has been created and the Google account has now been created. Now, here's the situation though. I'm still on my own browser. Oh no, that's not a good sign, right? We don't necessarily want to do that and set it up this way. So what we're going to now do is we're actually going to create the next browser session for this and then log Joe into this. So how we're going to do this is we're going to click on my little profile icon up here in the top right-hand corner, and we're going to hit Add Chrome Profile. Once we do this, it's going to say, set up your new Chrome profile. We're going to go ahead and hit sign in, and we're going to paste in that email address that we just created. Then we're going to hit next. If it's going to let me do the next. Hey, we'll try. Okay, we're going to take 2 and try that one more time here. Oh, that's very interesting. Let's do this here. It could be hendersonduxjoe@gmail. There we go. Oh, looks like I got a server 404 error in there. There could be an issue going on with just my instance and browser there. There we go. That was weird. Technical difficulties, but hey, when in the world of demoing and doing this, you got to be prepared for any of that type of stuff. But now what we're doing is we're just logging into the account that we just created. And here we are. And now it's going to ask you to turn on sync. Go ahead and turn on sync. Now we'll be taken to this screen. Now in this screen is where we get to personalize. When managing other people's accounts, what I highly, highly recommend that you do is use a different color than your normal browser, right? So I'll use, let's use this, let's go blue. Is that blue? I guess it's kind of bluish, sort of. Or maybe we'll do this, let's choose a different color here. Let's go with the red. Yeah, this dark red color. It's funny, it's this very bright red color, but this doesn't look red at all. But who knows, my red might be a little different than your red, I suppose. Then in the name here where it says Joe, one of the things I like to do is maybe call out like Dux-Soup Joe or something like that, or maybe Joe Dux-Soup. You don't have to do this. This is literally going to be just for your own management purposes, right? And however it is that you want to sort of structure and set that up. Now that that's gone ahead and been created, what do I have here? So I basically now at this moment have 2 browsers. I have this browser here, which is my normal day-to-day browser that maybe I'm logged into LinkedIn as and under, right? So here's my Scott Wright, right? This is my normal everyday browser that I'm utilizing. I even have Dux-Soup installed on this one in this sort of case. Then I've now created this secondary browser for Joe's LinkedIn account that I'll be utilizing and structuring. And what we did is we created the Google Chrome account and then isolated it by creating it as a second Chrome browser, right? Now we have all of the steps that we need. Oh, I realized I wasn't following along. So we've done the step 1 there. Step 2 is that we need to now download the Dux-Soup extension for the browser on this sort of section here. So to download the Dux-Soup extension, we'll do download Dux-Soup. And we'll go to the Google Chrome Web Store to download the Dux-Soup extension to this newly created Google Chrome browser. And so from here, we'll go ahead and hit add to Chrome. Then we'll go ahead and hit add extension. And so far, it hasn't required us to sign in, but Dux-Soup will here in just a moment. And there we almost go. Dux-Soup will appear here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin the extension as well up here. And once this loads, Dux-Soup will appear and it will take me to the login page. If it doesn't, then what I'll do is I'll just open up a new tab here. Got it. So we'll just open up a new tab. Here we go. It loaded in. So what this is saying is Dux-Soup log in, and it says sign in with Google right here in the middle of the page. Now I hit sign in with Google. Now this email address that we just created is now being associated with Dux-Soup. So now here's our Gmail. We'll go ahead and select that. We'll hit continue. And voila, as this starts to load here in just a second. But now what we've done is we've gone ahead and we've created the Google Chrome account with the account on Dux-Soup as well. Now from here, it's just loading. It looks like I'm getting some technical errors on my side today. What's life without some technical issues and glitches sometimes? But now when this loads, we'll come back to that in a minute. For step 3, we're going to want to go ahead and log in now to LinkedIn.com, right? So now I'm going to go to LinkedIn itself. And at this moment is where I will log in with Dux-Soup, or sorry, with Joe's Dux-Soup credentials, or sorry, not Dux-Soup credentials, her LinkedIn credentials. Excuse my verbiage here. It's a little early on my time. And so, Joe, don't worry, you don't actually have to give me your Dux-Soup credentials. But what Joe would do with it, or not Dux-Soup, but your LinkedIn, Joe would go ahead and give me her LinkedIn username for signing into LinkedIn. And she would give me her password. I would go ahead and sign in. Then once I did sign in, I would now be accessed into her LinkedIn account. And that LinkedIn account would also then be signed in and associated to this browser, which is also then assigned to the Dux-Soup extension, which is all sort of living in one area. And so what I like to do to sort of visualize this sometimes is then you have, in this case, sort of 2 different browsers here. And again, this is for the Turbo and for the Pro versions. I have sort of 2 separate browsers here. Each one has a different Dux-Soup account tied to it, and each one has a different LinkedIn account assigned to that as well. And what I can do whenever I need to is I can swap to them by clicking on the Google Chrome profile icon up here in the top right and jumping over to, here's Joe Dux-Soup, and I can jump over to it to take any actions that I need to on any of these sort of cases. And so I can go ahead and click here, and I can maybe sign into a different one if I have maybe a third profile. And this one is associated to a different LinkedIn as well, right? But I digress. But that's what this webinar is meant for, is Scott to digress, I suppose. But that's the step 3, as now you would log into the person's desired LinkedIn account. And then because the account is associated with this browser, which is associated with this Dux-Soup account there, everything will go ahead and sync there together. Now, step 4 is Dux-Soup can now be used to automate your outreach activity and for the Dux-Soup account that you're now logged into, which is what I'm sort of showing off here in this case. Then I'm going to stop sharing my screen for 1 second here. And now here is a good example of what a browser could look like if you're managing multiple different profiles on one using Pro or using Turbo, or in some cases even using Cloud. So you could potentially have 4 different profiles running on your computer, and these are 4 different Chrome profiles all running at the same time, logged into 4 different people at the same point as well there. So it's just a visual sort of way to sort of represent it as well. Right. So moving on. For cloud accounts. Now, for cloud accounts is where things get a little interesting. So for cloud accounts, you everything sort of stays the same as well. However, the benefit of the cloud is that Dux-Soup is running 24/7. With Dux-Soup Pro and with Dux-Soup Turbo, Dux-Soup is only running when your browser is running. So what that means is you would need to keep those profiles open and running constantly in order for all of those activities and actions to be running on those for them. For Dux-Soup Cloud, the setup structure is still the same. So you would still create a Google account, and you would need to create the profile. Then once you've created the profile, you would need to go ahead and download Dux-Soup to that, and so on and so forth. But you get an added benefit with Dux-Soup Cloud, which is, as I pause for dramatic effect, as I go to start sharing my screen, if we can see my screen again here, the benefit of Dux-Soup Cloud is that because Dux-Soup is on 24/7, I don't need to keep Joe's profile open. In fact, I don't need to keep any of these open. I can just let Dux-Soup, even though like my beautiful browser here is looking like it's lost in nature, the forest, but Dux-Soup is running 24/7. And whenever I need to access it in any way, shape, or form, I can just go ahead and pop open Joe's profile because it's on Dux-Soup Cloud and take any actions, right? And go ahead and see whatever it is that I need to see. Or maybe I click here and I go ahead and open up my profile, take any of the actions that I need to. And then when I'm finished, I can just close the browser down and everything is still going to be running as it needs to and as it's sort of required. So the setup process is still the same for managing multiple cloud accounts, but you get the added benefit of not needing to keep multiple different profiles open on a lot of these sort of cases here. So as you can see, you don't need to necessarily have 4, 5, 6 different Google profiles open like you would need to in Pro and or in Turbo. In the Dux-Soup Cloud version, you can just sort of pop them open when you need to and take the actions and so on and so forth. But wait, Scott, didn't I hear that there was like a way where I didn't need to have like a Google account? Yes, that is correct. You did. And that is what takes us to our next version of how you can manage a Dux-Soup account using what is called our cloud agency. So before I show this, just as a recap, well, I know we moved on already. The cloud agency here, you can go ahead and read on this slide currently. But as a recap, up until now, what you've needed for all of our offerings is that you've needed to create a Google account with a Gmail or create a Yahoo or something like that and associate it with it, then create the browser and then either have the browser on and logged into the LinkedIn account, or you switch to it if you're using the cloud by using the cloud switcher and all these other things. But it still is fundamentally required you to create that Google Chrome account, right? And create that Gmail. Well, now, though, with the cloud agency, it is always on because it's cloud. You do not need to create a Google account for these. And there's multiple ways to sort of monitor the campaign progress and respond to messages on behalf of your clients as well. Even just through the interface, you can also enroll people per account and a lot more. So it's kind of like having all of the functionality right in front of you, but all through a single interface as well with Dux-Soup. So let me demonstrate how that operates. Let me share my screen once more. All right. Okay, so previously we would need to have multiple Chrome accounts and windows open. We do not need that anymore, so we can shut those down. What we do need, though, is we do need the one license, the one browser that does have, that's like the main sort of account, right? And so this account has Cloud Agency on it. And so if I navigate to what is called the Dux Dash by clicking on the extension, navigating to what is called the Dux Dash here. Fantastic. So the Dux Dash should look relatively the same for everybody across the board, regardless of all these. So this should not look super new or familiar. However, in the cloud agency plans, we do have this single interface that allows you that you don't need a Chrome or a Gmail account to swap in and out of accounts and users. And so when you are a part of that plan, you get a new fun bar up here at the very top that says active session, Scott Wright. Then over here to the right, it says switch sessions, add session, or remove session. So what this now does is in the cloud agency, I do not need a Google account or Google profile. All I would need to do is click on add session. Then it says you're about to set up a new cloud session in 3 easy steps. After these steps, a new cloud session will be ready for your LinkedIn outreach using the LinkedIn account of your choice. I go ahead and hit continue. We'll name this session. We'll call this Joe, and then we'll call this Henderson, right? And we'll go ahead and hit continue. Then what will happen here is this will say, please log into the LinkedIn account provided. Click on the button below to open up a new tab. So we'll hit open up LinkedIn. This will now automatically take me to the LinkedIn session. And here's where I would sign in with Joe's LinkedIn username and or password to sign in from here. And I want to make this very clear, very, very clear. Dux-Soup is not storing your LinkedIn credentials in any way, shape, or form. This is all done through here, and it's creating basically an active cookie session, and we're effectively using this with some other tools to clone the browser session and sort of maintain on top of it. But once we're signed into Joe's credentials there, then we would be logged into Active Session Joe Henderson, and we would now be able to switch sessions right here. And so now you can see Joe Henderson is right here, and I can switch to her session whenever I want to. In fact, I have all kinds of other Dux-Soup profiles here, right? There's my accounts here, so we can actually, or we can go to Lavinia's, for instance. If I click on Lavinia, I can hit OK. Now this says switching over to Lavinia. Several tabs will close and open automatically while capturing and restoring the LinkedIn session. And so now you can see up here at the top, it says feed. And so we'll click on this, and voila, we are actually now in Lavinia's session. This is Lavinia's Dux-Soup with Lavinia's Dux-Soup campaigns here. These are Lavinia's stats. These are Lavinia's throttle settings and everything. But then if we go back to Dux-Soup here, or the Dux-Dash, and I hit switch session again, we jump back over to Joe Henderson. I hit OK. You'll see that the LinkedIn tab shuts down, and then it's going to open up another one. However, it may not in this sort of case because it never established the LinkedIn session in the first place because I didn't sign into her credentials there. So then we can just jump back into my session if we'd like to, though, as well. And we'll go ahead and hit active session. And so what you'll see switch over is now we'll switch over into here, and voila, we're now into my session. So with the cloud agency plan, it's different than the cloud than the Dux-Soup Pro, Dux-Soup Turbo, and even the Dux-Soup Cloud individual or team plans. The Dux-Soup Cloud agency plan allows you to have a single interface right here for you to just switch, add, and remove sessions all from the interface here, where just as a reminder, what you would need to have done before is either A, have multiple different profiles open if you're on the Dux-Soup Pro or the Dux-Soup Turbo, right? And have multiple different Chrome accounts open and have those all being managed. Or if you're on Dux-Soup Cloud individual, you'd still have to create the different cloud accounts, which is not a headache. I mean, it can be a headache for some folks, but the cost factor is also very lucrative for Turbo and for Pro, so that creating a different Chrome browser maybe is worth the cost because it could be as low as $15 a month to even $45 a month, potentially USD, to be able to manage those. But if you are somebody like Ben Pace, who's going to be giving a presentation here in a couple of weeks and whatnot, the cloud agency version is well worth it because it just sort of combines everything together and gets rid of the need and use case for you to have to create a different cloud or a different Gmail and Google account for each one of those. Wonderful. So let me stop sharing my screen. Let's go back to our presentation here for 1 second. Fantastic. Now, the cloud agency as well does come, and this comes with also Turbo and also, I guess with all of these to some degree, but cloud agency and the Turbo version, I think that's actually misspoken here, but you can use our Slack integration, which is included on the Turbo and also the cloud and or cloud agency plans. And what this does is when you set this up, this can actually allow you to reply on behalf of other people all through Slack or even through the interface itself. Let me share my screen one more time. This actually, slides actually maybe a little misappropriated there, but let me share my screen one more time and explain here a little bit further. Okay, so when you're switching in between these accounts here, right, if I go to Lavinia's LinkedIn, for instance, and this says switching over to Lavinia, what I can do on these sort of cases here is now, because I'm logged into her account, I can now go ahead and hit messaging and reply to people directly on her LinkedIn right from here, which is great because I have direct access to the account. So I can reply to people and just go through these, or reply to Daniel. I can type this out because it's all from her LinkedIn account. If you're on Dux-Soup Pro or if you're on Dux-Soup Turbo, then you have to use the browsers here, and you'll have the different Chrome browsers for each one of these. But if I'm in Joe Henderson's accounts, like I was already logged in, I still have direct access into the account, and I can go ahead and reply to the people directly from here as well. You also have the added benefits of replying through the Dux dash on any of these as well. So when you're in the proper person's account, you can go ahead and look at the responses here, and you can actually even reply to each of them right from here as well, and go ahead and hit send. And you can go ahead and manage all these areas. However, when you are managing a larger amount of people, speed and essence is key, right? And being able to have a unified inbox is a very, as we say here in San Francisco, clutch thing to sort of have. This funnel flow is great because I can go ahead and reply to the people here without having to go and find the person inside of LinkedIn. And I can hit switch session, jump over to my session, swap over in these areas here, and you can see I'm already inside of my account, and I can click on the responded, and I can reply through each one of these as well, because these are my responses now, and I can reply through it from here. But sometimes you need something a little better, and you need something a little bit more streamlined, if you will. Maybe you don't want to have to check the accounts every single time to see when a new reply comes in or anything, right? Well, that's where our Slack integration comes into play. So the Slack integration can be turned on over here to the left on the Dux dash, and under app connections, you can select here. Then you can select new connection, select Slack. Then you go ahead and sign in with your Slack credentials. You hit allow. Once you do that, you'll be able to tell Dux-Soup which channel you want all of the replies going into. I have this already set up right now. Don't mind Isabella Osman. She works here at Dux-Soup, and she helps me with my replies. So we signed in with her Slack credentials. But take a look at this. Notice how it says Scott WLI replies SLK config SW. That's just my naming convention on Slack for my channels. But you can have this be set up for any of the Slack channels that you have gone ahead and already created, and have the replies go to those. Now, this is for my session here. And so yeah, you can basically switch into somebody else's session if you need to, and be able to set up the accounts for each of those. So you can see I'm logged in as myself. And if I switch session and go to Lavinia, once this loads over, there we go. And just to confirm, we're in Lavinia's account there. And if I click on App Connects, you'll see that her Slack connection is going to the Lavinia LI replies SLK config SW, but this is a different channel, right? So you can set up each channel individually. And you can do this on any of the plans I just talked about, except for Pro. You can't do this on Pro because Pro doesn't have access to integrations, but you could have this in the cloud agency, or if you have multiple different browsers, you can set up each browser and configure each one of their Slack connectors here to go to Slack directly. From clicking here and set up the new Slack connection and set it up like this, and you can have multiple different ones and trigger for each person, right? Now, Scott, why do I want to set up the Slack piece in the first place, though? Like you're talking all about this and running the point home. Well, the reason you'd want to do this, or our users would like to, in a lot of these cases, is because then you have a single interface for replies. Take a look here. This is the name of the channel. Scott, WLI replies, SLK. Doesn't matter what the channel is called, by the way. You can name it whatever you would like. And when a reply comes in, the reply will come into Slack very conveniently right from here, where you can then see the prospect's company. You can see their name, their title. You can see their response here. You can then also see the Dux-Soup user, just to be absolutely clear on these areas. You can also see the email address once they've replied to you. Notice how the Slack ID says Isabella Osman. That's just because she was the one that I had sign up and set up with her Slack credentials so that she gets notified. But then down here at the bottom, it says continue, qualify in, qualify out, reply, conversation, and it says C2 more. If I click on this conversation button, this will show me the conversation between the Dux-Soup user, which is myself, and with Richard on top of that, right? So if I click on conversation history, I can read the conversation history there. I can also read it from here as well. I know Ben very well. Him and I go back. And yeah, so you can go ahead and set it up here. I can also hit reply, and I can then type out the reply that I want, and the response will go ahead and go out live from here. We're signed into, it doesn't matter whose account you're signed into or any of these types of situations, because the Slack integration is independent of that. And if I go and click on Lavinia's here, for instance, right, here's all of Lavinia's replies. And I can also hit reply right from here, and I can type in whatever I'd like. And then the message will go out on Lavinia's LinkedIn, all from there, right? So you basically have a single interface right from Slack that you can get notified. But wait, it gets a little bit better. Because this is Slack, some people don't realize a little bit of the sort of main functionality of what Slack is, right? Slack is meant for an internal collaboration tool, and messaging tool. So I can add people to this channel. Look, there's Giles, there's Lavinia. I could even add Joe Henderson to here, right? And so she's not in this channel. And I can go ahead and add her into here. And now that she's in this channel, anybody who's in this channel here can go ahead and hit reply, or see the conversation history, or even switch them to a different campaign right from here too. Look, here's all of Lavinia's campaigns right from there. If we go to my channel, you can see here are all of my different campaigns as well, because we're in my channel and it's configured to set up to mine. But because Joe's in the channel here for each one of these, she can go ahead and also hit reply and have the conversation as if she is Lavinia right from here, without even having direct access to the Dux-Soup account. She could be an independent variable. I could add anybody on this webinar right now to this Slack channel, and they would be able to reply or control my LinkedIn account with those sort of functionalities, all sort of done through here. This is available on Turbo and available for all of the plans I just talked about for the Cloud Agency, Cloud Individual, or any of those accordingly, except for Pro, because Pro doesn't have the access to integrations, but I digress. Wonderful. Well, before I go to the questions here, just as a very, very quick recap, with Dux-Soup, there are multiple ways to manage accounts, right? The main one, though, or one that most people utilize, is to create a Google Chrome sort of Gmail, if you will, right? Or by going ahead and using an existing one, or going ahead and creating a new Google Chrome profile for Dux-Soup Pro, Dux-Soup Turbo, or even Dux-Soup Cloud Individual in the teams. And then if you don't want to create multiple different Gmail or Chrome accounts and have to manage them all from here, and this little side panel here and all these areas, right? You got because this can get a little crazy. It's funny, I've been using Dux-Soup for quite some time, I think since 2018. And before Dux-Soup had a cloud version, I recall I was managing about like 10 or 15 different Dux-Soup profiles all in one browser. It looked almost like a meme. It looked something like this. And I think I had like 10 or 15 different profiles all sort of like structured and ran up here. But that is still a viable way if you want to go ahead and use it that way. And it's also a cheap way that you can use or cost effective, I should say, way if you want to manage that. But that can just get out of hand really quickly. So then that's why we have our Cloud Agency, which sort of says, hey, why don't you just don't worry about all those Google Chrome accounts. You can sign up for the Cloud Agency. Then you can go ahead and hit switch session and add sessions. You can add sessions, remove sessions, and the whole 9 yards across the board there. Wonderful. That said, any questions?
Hi,
Joe.
I'm glad you asked. Yes, we do have questions.
Okay.
Let me crack on with them. So Mike was first, straight out of the box. He said, I recently got a Dux Cloud Agency license, and it set it up on a Vultr virtual server to manage the multiple accounts. I'd love to know if there is a better and easier way for my VAs to log in to client accounts than using a virtual server, or is this the best setup? I know you've touched on some of this already, but a bit of clarity would be great.
Yeah, sure. So virtual, so basically if you want to do the individual Chrome accounts, you would need, that is a very viable way, is to have a remote desktop or a virtual server or a remote computer, whatever it is that you'd like. Then in there, you'd have all of the individual Chrome profiles sort of up there, and then you kind of share access into that server or that account, right? So yes, that is a viable way to structure it. However, if you have, if you want to do the Cloud Agency, you could have the Cloud Agency instead, where you could just have one. You wouldn't have to create all those different accounts. You wouldn't even need a virtual server. You would just have the Cloud Agency license, and then you can switch in and out of those accounts. Now, if you have a VA, an assistant, who's also helping you there, well, good news. You can give them what is called, we call it a non-user license, or non-user admin, if you will, which they will have the ability to switch sessions in the Cloud Agency, but won't need direct access as like a licensee. And you can have as many of those as you'd like. So for example, imagine Joe is my assistant here, and she wants access to the Cloud Agency so she can switch in and out of these sessions, but she's not going to be using her LinkedIn as a hypothetical here, right? All you have to do is send us an email that says, hi, Dux-Soup, I would like to add Joe as an admin, but she's not going to be a user. And here's the email address. We'll provision her an admin license, and she would then have the ability to switch in and out of the cloud sessions freely in the Cloud Agency, and she would not be charged a seat, but would still have the ability to switch in and out of those sessions. And you can have multiple people on the cloud session at the same time if you need to in those sort of cases. So to answer that, TLDL, too long didn't listen, to shorten that up effectively, yes, a virtual private server works great and can be a viable option. The cloud agency, if you do qualify for it, might be a better option as well if you want to just have it through a single interface because everything runs a little bit more streamlined.
Okay. I think Mike has sent an update on that query, but we'll come back to that in a second. Let me ask a few others first. So Amit has asked, can you manage, for example, 5 to 10 Google and LinkedIn accounts from the same computer and same IP? A lot of the questions are around the same things, actually.
Sure. So with that, it's interesting you bring that up portion up. So I myself have been using Dux-Soup, I think I mentioned previously, since 2018. And back in the day, I kind of made a joke actually just a second ago about I had multiple different Google Chrome accounts. And yeah, you can have 10 as well. Just know that hopefully your computer's RAM, it's a lot of Google accounts, sort of running independently and operating independently of each other. And we have not seen any issue from there. Now, granted, as long as your computer's RAM and CPU doesn't necessarily get bogged down, but the IP addresses, when you're running it locally on your browser for Pro or for Turbo off of one of those areas, or you're running it on a virtual private server, doesn't appear to be a sort of issue because they're all coming from that same sort of centralized location. If you're able to, using a VPN never hurts, right? And so setting the VPN up in an area that's centrally located would always be a decent way. But at the same time, it's not required to sort of use Dux-Soup and be able to manage those. So.
Okay, that's cool. Thank you. Marcus has asked, is it important to use the client's real name in step 2, or is it just so that he knows which session he's using?
It's just so that you know which session that you're using. The whole Gmail creation portion is literally just for yourself, right? I've used this before. When I was running, I had an agency called Amped Marketing. And it's funny, you can find some of my old case studies on Dux-Soup's website before I worked for Dux-Soup. But what I would do in that case is I would actually name it like maybe Amped Joe or Amped in the name of the person, right? And that was literally just for my own internal purposes. Think of the email creation portion that I was doing in step 2. Think of that as really just like as if you're creating a username and password for the person itself. But no, yeah, it doesn't need to be the actual name. You can name it whatever it is that you'd like.
Perfect. Greg has said he would like to go about having a discussion about setting up cloud agency. So I have sent him a link, but keep Greg's name in your head, Scott. Marcus
Greg also, sorry to interject, just interjecting here for a second. This goes for everybody. Shoot me also, because I will be going out on vacation next week from like Wednesday onwards for a little bit of time. Giles, I think, will be still here, so he can take a lot of these calls. But feel free to reach out to me also on LinkedIn and message
you.
It's been a long day. Mention. It's like 5 a.m. my time too. Mention the session on LinkedIn and like connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll see if I can squeeze you in for some time in between, regardless of the Calendly and what's available.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Let's have a look. Who else? Marcus has asked another question. Are there any safety differences compared to running it in different Chrome profiles here on my computer? I don't use a VPN and I'm not sure how dangerous it is with the IP addresses and so on. Again, another IP related query.
Yeah, so the IP addresses portion, at least with the cloud agency, generally speaking, if you want to use a cloud or if you want to use a VPN, covering your tracks is never a bad thing, right? Covering your tracks is never a bad thing. That said, though, I myself right now just as a way to prove this sort of area, because it sounds like there's a lot of sort of things sort of coming up here. Let me share my screen for one quick second here. Share screen too. Can we see my screen, Joe?
Yes. Can.
All right, fantastic. So I'm on the cloud agency version. I am currently not using a VPN, and I don't use a VPN usually, actually ever at all. I don't have a VPN in here. I am located in San Francisco. When I hit switch session here in the cloud agency, Lavinia, for instance, is in Romania currently, right? She's based in Romania, and I can switch over to her session. And then you can see that I'm logged into here. I could also switch over to Jenny, who's a profile that we do manage. Her profile is based in the UK. You can go, one of the things that would be advised if you are managing profiles that are outside the country of origin, then a good sort of rule of thumb then is maybe then use a VPN when you're doing the initial setup and structure. So when you're setting up the initial process, then go ahead and you're setting up the cloud instance, if you will, then having it set up where the person is centrally located is always going to be a key area. But yeah, in short, Jenny is based in the UK. I am based in San Francisco. Giles, who know where in the world is Giles? I don't know if you know the world in the world is Carmen San Diego, but where in the world is Giles right now? But he's also based in the Netherlands, and you can hit OK in these sort of areas, and we can jump into each other's accounts, no problem on that sort of end, right? So hopefully that sort of shows a little bit of how you can sort of manage and go about that and answers, because sometimes the VPN and IP questions can get a little into the weeds, but I want to make sure that we cover everybody else's questions there too.
Yeah, awesome. Just to add to that, Paul has said, 5 p.m. dude, you're doing a great job.
Paul, hey, nice to see you. I know that's what actually made me laugh a little bit there. Thanks, Paul. By the way, hopefully you're going to the B2B Marketing Expo again. Would love to see you there. Marcus, if you, I think I've seen a lot of questions come through relating to IP addresses as well. Feel free to shoot me a message on LinkedIn, or also grab some time with me. But shoot me a message on LinkedIn, and I can set up some time and go in a little bit further in depth for each one of those.
Okay, amazing, thank you. Who else have we got? I think Mike does have another couple of questions. I think maybe Mike and Marcus, if you could get in touch with Scott, I think probably would be simplest, just to get clarity around the queries that you're asking.
Mike, sorry for interjecting. Right on, man. 2017 user, huh? So you do beat me. You beat me in years in terms of how long you've been using it. But sorry, Joe, go ahead.
It's all right, Mike. The B2B Marketing Expo, that's it's in London in November. Come join us. Come join us. Shanti, what is the connection request? I can send you a link to an awesome document about that, actually, which I will dig out now. What's the highest connection request we can do per day after warming up slowly is the question. So I'll just find that.
While you're finding that, I'll just talk over and glaze over it real quick. So the highest number of invites that you can send out per day is going to be different, right? Marcus is going to have a different limit than myself, than from Joe, than from Giles, than from take your pick out of a bag, right? Everybody's LinkedIn and the number of invites they're going to be able to send is so different, and it's different per the number of various different variables. How long you've been a member, what is your overall connection base? How many people are you paying for LinkedIn? That is a factor, right? But generally, because there's so many different factors in there, finding the number that's going to be right for you is a little difficult. So when you download Dux-Soup for the first time, even when you're in the trial, whether you're on Pro, Turbo, Cloud Agency, or utilizing it myself, Dux-Soup is set to do 25 invites a day on Pro, on Turbo, on Cloud Agency. You can change those settings, though, to whatever it is that you want. I do forewarn you, though, change them gradually, sort of week after week, and just adjust some of those settings. And generally, you can get your profile up to the 50s, 60s, and in some cases even 70s or 80s in terms of number of invites you can send out per day. But it's not something that I recommend that you download Dux-Soup, then jump from the 25 up to 80 or 90 or whatever on these. Increase it gradually and over time, and follow the article that Joe is sending over to you in terms of being safe on LinkedIn when it comes to that.
Yeah, I've just fired those over. Okay. Mike, your commitment. Come on, dude. Just get in a plane.
Hop across the pond, isn't that what they call that or something? I don't know.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he said. Oh, I can't come across the pond. If I get, this is from Vidun, if I get Turbo Dux team version, will I be able to manage multiple LinkedIn profiles within the same Chrome profile?
No, not necessarily. So managing I didn't really talk about the team version there. With the team version, and this might be the last question I'll be able to answer, but with the team version, I'm going to share my screen one more time here. Hopefully, fantastic. So, right, if you're on the team plan, when you're on a team plan, I should say, 1 second here, you would be able to, on the team plan is really designed for the ability for you to go ahead and manage your team, but also from like a license perspective. Okay, so this version here, come to the Dux dash here. It's only, I should also, while this is loading, only the cloud agency is the one that allows you to do it all from the same Chrome browser. In Teams, you get Dux-Soup Teams on Dux-Soup Team Pro or Dux-Soup Team Turbo or Dux-Soup Team Cloud, right? You get some added benefits of having a license administrator, and this license administrator can have this new area called a license admin, where what you can do is you can trash these seats that you give out. You can also purchase new additional seats right from here, where you click add a seats and you can add on a new seats or whatever it is that you'd like. Or you can trash seats here as well and add and sort of provision seats altogether. On top of that, in Dux-Soup team plans, you can also have access to what is called a multi-funnel. The multi-funnel is also available in the agency plan as well. The multi-funnel here doesn't look like there's much in this sort of case here, but don't mind that because it's just a test area. You can see all the different campaigns. You can search by name for the person or whatever it is that you like and look for their funnel. And then you can see a bird's eye view. And so team plans give one or multiple people or individuals abilities to look into other people's funnels, like a manager would, and or would also give the ability for you to have a license admin, and you do not need to be a Dux-Soup user, like paid seat user. You just get sort of license billing and accommodations. You also get something called team campaigns in team plans, which are campaigns that you can share amongst your entire team at your organization. But yes, Mike, I'll make sure, send me an invite also on LinkedIn, but I'll make sure that Joe sends out the team articles and team plans associated with that. But just to clarify that, it's only the cloud agency plan that allows you to switch in and out of sessions at this time. Great. Hopefully that was made some sense, but yeah.
Yes, I think so. Mike, I've just sent you the link to the Teams. It's to the Teams page, actually. There might be some more content out there, which I will ping over to you if this finishes before I find it. So just very quickly, thank you, Scott, for staying awake and getting up ridiculously early to cover Giles while he's in the middle of the air somewhere after his chaotic end of holiday journey home. I just want to remind you all again about the upcoming webinar, which is in, hopefully you can all see come on. There
About
we
a
go.
month.
There we go. Yeah, next month. So on 23rd of September, Ben Pace is accompanying us. He's hosting his session, talking through his success journey, really, and the strategies that he has used. So he started out with Dux-Soup Pro and has used every single one of our plans to take him from kind of zero to superhero, and now runs a multi-million-dollar agency. So he is going to share his strategies and success criteria so we can copy it all and do exactly the same thing. So he'll be with us on the 23rd of September. There's a button floating around somewhere on your page, depending where you've moved it to, so you can register for that. There's also a free trial button if any of you haven't yet used the free trial option yet and you're still kind of pondering it. And also just a very quick one to note that Giles and Scott, between the pair of them and our support crew, offer various different levels of support in terms of calls. So if you go to our services page on the website, then you will be able to book yourself onto a call of some description with the support team or with Giles and Scott themselves. Anyone sending us a nice review via Trustpilot will always send you a lovely cap to say thank you very much for your time. So make sure, if you've enjoyed today's session or you're enjoying the experience of using Dux-Soup, that you let us know, because then you can have some handy headgear to assist you in the weather to come. And I think that's all about us. That's all about it from us for today. So thank you for attending and sticking with us. I know we've run a little bit past time. But yeah, thank you very much. And thank you to Scott for making his way through, soldiering on.
Absolutely. No, and thank you all for attending this this webinar as well. And one last thing I'll just mention and leave you guys off on is that with Dux-Soup, there are so many different ways to manage different LinkedIn accounts, right? And it really sort of plays out to what is going to be the best fit for you. So that's why we use these different Google accounts and then showing you these different ways, is it really depends on what is the best way you want to sort of get yourself structured. If you're not sure, just reach out and we'll get in touch and we'll go ahead and help you along and guide you along on all of these areas. So other than that, that's all I got.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care, and we'll see you in a few weeks. Bye.